Chosen one, there is a moment when heaven grows quiet, not because God has stopped speaking, but because what he is about to say carries weight. If you feel an unexplainable pressure in your spirit, a sense that something is approaching but not yet visible, this is that moment. God is preparing to ask you for something he has never asked of you before. And the reason your heart feels stirred right now is because your spirit already recognizes the timing. This is not a random message crossing your path. It is an interruption sent on purpose, at the exact point where preparation meets decision. You have been through seasons where obedience looked simple on the surface, but cost you deeply behind closed doors. You said yes when no one applauded. You stayed when leaving would have been easier. You trusted when clarity never came. God saw every one of those moments. He was not just watching your actions, he was shaping your capacity. What you did not realize is that each test was expanding your ability to carry something greater. Heaven does not place heavy assignments on unprepared shoulders. And now, the preparation has reached its final layer. This next request will feel different from anything before it. It will not sound like a gentle suggestion. It will arrive with urgency, yet without fear. It may challenge the very thing you believed God preserved for you. That is because this is not about punishment or loss. It is about positioning. God is not removing something to leave you empty. He is clearing space for what cannot coexist with your past attachments. This is why your spirit feels both drawn and unsettled at the same time. You may wonder why God would ask for more after all you have already endured. But understand this truth: God only increases his demands when he intends to increase his trust. You are not being tested again to see if you are faithful. You have already proven that. This is a confirmation stage where heaven is saying, I can rely on you with what matters most. Many people pray for elevation, but resist the process that makes it possible. You are being invited into that process now. What makes this moment unique is that God is not asking you to do more. He is asking you to release more. Release control. Release the need to understand. Release the safety nets you built during survival seasons. Those systems once protected you, but they cannot accompany you into what God is preparing next. Carrying them forward would slow you down. So God, in his mercy, is addressing them now. You will notice that distractions are losing their appeal. Conversations feel shallow. Certain environments feel heavy. This is not isolation, it is consecration. God is drawing you inward because clarity requires separation. Before he asks for something significant, he quiets the noise around you so his voice is unmistakable. The confusion you felt earlier was not uncertainty. It was the sound of old seasons ending. There is a reason this request has not come sooner. Timing matters in the spirit. Had God asked you before, the weight would have crushed you. But now you have endurance. You have discernment. You have depth. You are no longer driven by impulse. You are guided by conviction. That is why heaven trusts you with this next step. God does not reveal deep instructions to shallow hearts. Do not mistake the seriousness of this moment for heaviness. Though the request will carry weight, it will also carry peace. Fear agitates, but God's voice stabilizes. When he speaks, even difficult instructions come with an inner stillness that cannot be manufactured. That peace will be your confirmation. You will know it is God, not because the path is clear, but because your spirit will refuse to let you walk away. You may feel tempted to delay, to ask for more signs, to seek validation from others. But understand, this assignment is personal. It is not meant to be debated or crowdsourced. The people around you may not understand the depth of what God is doing because they were not present in the private places where he prepared you. What God is about to ask requires intimacy, not consensus. This is the moment where faith shifts from endurance to alignment. You are no longer just surviving storms. You are being positioned to command territory, and territory requires surrender. God is not taking from you. He is trusting you with more by asking you to place something back into his hands. What you release now will determine the authority you walk in next. So if you feel a holy pause, a spiritual breath being held, do not rush past it. This is the space where God speaks clearly. This is the threshold where ordinary obedience becomes extraordinary trust. And when the request comes, and it will come, remember this, God never asks without already preparing the reward, the provision, and the grace to obey. The fact that He is about to ask means heaven believes you are ready. When God begins to ask for something deeper than He ever has before, it is never sudden in heaven, even if it feels sudden on earth. This moment has been forming quietly, layered through your experiences, your disappointments, your prayers that went unanswered for a long time. Nothing was wasted. Every delay, every detour, every closed door was shaping your discernment so that when this request arrived, you would recognize it without needing explanation. God does not shock His chosen ones, He prepares them. This request will challenge the way you define trust. In previous seasons, trust meant believing God would fix things. Now, trust means believing God knows what He is doing even when He asks you to place something precious on the altar. That is why this moment feels intense. God is not testing your loyalty, He is inviting you into partnership. Partnership requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires surrender. What God is asking may not look spiritual to others. It may look risky. It may look like loss. It may even look like failure from the outside. But heaven does not measure obedience by public opinion. God measures obedience by alignment. When something is out of alignment, even if it feels good, it cannot remain. And when something is aligned, even if it feels uncomfortable, it produces peace that surpasses understanding. You may find yourself wrestling internally, not because you doubt God, but because you are human. That wrestling is not disobedience, it is transition. Even biblical figures wrestled before crossing into new identity. The struggle you feel is not resistance, it is the sound of transformation taking place. Old mindsets are being challenged so new authority can be formed. One of the hardest parts of this moment is that God is not giving you the full picture. He is giving you just enough light for the next step. This is intentional. If you could see the full outcome, faith would not be required. God is teaching you to move by obedience, not by outcome. That shift alone changes everything. It moves you from a position of control into a position of trust. This request is also exposing what you rely on for security. God is gently but firmly touching the areas where your confidence has shifted from Him to systems, people, plans, or patterns. None of these things are evil, but they are limited. God is unlimited, and what He is about to release in your life cannot be sustained by limited sources. That is why He is asking you to loosen your grip. There will be moments when your mind tries to convince you that obedience will cost you too much. But the truth is, disobedience would cost you far more. Remaining where you are would eventually suffocate what God placed inside you. This request is not about taking something away, it is about preserving your future. God sees what you cannot see, and He is protecting you from carrying what will hinder your next season. As this request becomes clearer, you may notice an increased sensitivity in your spirit. Things that once felt acceptable now feel heavy. This is not condemnation, it is discernment sharpening. God is refining your awareness so you can move with precision. You are being trained to recognize His voice above your own emotions, above fear, above past experiences. Do not underestimate the power of a single yes in this moment. One obedient response can unlock years of delay. One surrendered decision can realign everything that felt stuck. This is why the enemy tries to magnify fear at this stage, because fear is the only thing that can interrupt alignment. But fear has no authority unless you give it permission. God is not rushing you, but He is calling you forward. There is a divine window open right now, and it will not remain open forever. Timing matters. Delayed obedience weakens momentum. Immediate obedience strengthens it. You are standing in a moment where heaven is attentive to your response. Remember this as you consider what God is asking. He is not asking you to jump blindly. He is asking you to trust deeply. The same God who sustained you in the hidden season will sustain you in the exposed one. The same God who healed you in private will use you in public. And when you say yes, you are not stepping into uncertainty. You are stepping into alignment with a plan that was written long before you understood it. What God asks next will not just change what you do. It will change who you are becoming. Once you respond to what God is asking, everything begins to shift, sometimes quietly, sometimes suddenly, but always deliberately. Obedience does not always produce immediate applause or visible reward, but it does produce alignment, and alignment is what accelerates destiny. The moment you say yes, heaven begins rearranging what you could never organize on your own. Doors that resisted effort begin to open with ease. Connections form without striving. Resistance loses its grip, not because life becomes easy, but because you are finally moving in rhythm with God's will. Do not expect the next season to feel familiar. God is not restoring you to what was, He is advancing you into what has never been. That is why the old patterns no longer fit. You may feel like a beginner again, even though you are more mature than ever. This humility is intentional. God resists pride but entrusts authority to those who remain teachable. Your willingness to obey without needing recognition positions you for influence that cannot be manufactured. There will be moments when you look back and realize how precise God's timing was. What once felt like loss will reveal itself as protection. What once felt like delay will show itself as development. God did not withhold answers to frustrate you, He withheld them to deepen you. Now, as you move forward, clarity will come in layers enough to keep you grounded, but not so much that you stop relying on Him. Understand this clearly: your obedience is not just personal, it is generational. When you say yes to God, you break patterns that others before you could not break. You shift atmospheres that future generations will never have to struggle through. This is why the weight felt heavy, because the impact is wide. Heaven never assigns lightly what will change many. You may notice that some people cannot follow you into this next phase. This is not abandonment, it is alignment. Every season has its companions, and every calling has its requirements. God is teaching you not to measure success by who stays, but by who you are becoming. Release without resentment. Bless without explanation. What is meant for you will remain, and what is not will fall away without force. As you walk forward, opposition may increase, but so will authority. Resistance is often confirmation that you are moving in the right direction. Darkness does not fight what poses no threat. The very fact that this step required courage is evidence that it carries power. Do not shrink back when things intensify. Stand firm. Obedience creates a spiritual covering that fear cannot penetrate. There will also be moments of silence, where God seems quieter than before. Do not mistake silence for absence. God often steps back not because He has left, but because He trusts you to walk what He has already spoken. This is maturity. This is partnership. You are no longer being carried, you are being commissioned. In time, fruit will appear, some visible, some known only to you and God. Not everything God does through you needs to be explained or displayed. Some victories are meant to be hidden, strengthening your confidence in Him rather than your dependence on affirmation. You will learn to celebrate quietly and trust deeply. One day, you will look back at this moment, the moment you felt the weight of God's request, and you will thank Him for trusting you with it. You will see how your yes became a turning point, not just in circumstances but in identity. You will recognize that the courage you walk in now was born here, in obedience when the outcome was unclear. So walk forward without fear. You are not late, you are not unqualified, you are not alone. The same God who asked you for something He had never asked before is the same God who promised to never leave you nor forsake you. He does not ask to harm you, He asks to elevate you. And when the fullness of what He has planned begins to unfold, you will understand this truth deeply. God's greatest requests always precede His greatest releases. Your yes did not cost you your future, it unlocked it.